Hey everyone, and welcome back. Have you ever had a teacher who just didn't like you? Well, buckle up, because today's story is about a high school experience that went from bad to worse, all thanks to one particularly nasty educator. It's a tale of unfair grading, sneaky tactics, and a whole lot of drama. Back in high school, over a decade ago now, I was a pretty quiet kid. I was the type who did well in class and got along with the teachers. Nothing too crazy ever happened. I was on the student newspaper, played some sports, and kept my grades up. But everything changed during my junior year. I've always loved reading. My freshman English teacher thought I should move into the honors track, so I did. I enjoyed it all the way up until I got to my second semester of junior year and met Miss Umbridge. A real-life villain, right? She put on this sweet act, but underneath, she was just, well, evil. And for some reason, she seemed to have it out for me. I still don't know what I did to offend her. Maybe it was because I would sometimes nod off in class. It was probably because of my undiagnosed thyroid issues and getting up at 5 a.m. for swim practice. Anyway, her class was half essays and reports, with a few quizzes and tests thrown in. I was a decent writer, so I wasn't worried about getting a bad grade. But then came the first paper, and I got a D. I was shocked. This was the lowest grade I'd ever gotten. I asked Miss Umbridge what I did wrong, but her feedback was minimal. She basically told me my assessment was uninspired and to come back during study hall. I went to her during study hall, hoping for some helpful examples, but no such luck. Instead, she spent the whole time basically telling me I was an idiot. I remember leaving and crying. My friend, who was an amazing student, offered to help me on the next paper. We worked on it for hours, and I got another D. My friend was furious. She took the paper to her own AP English teacher, and he said it was great, perfect A+ work. My friend, quickly realizing something was up, asked me for a copy of my original paper. She had her teacher look at it too. He said that one was good enough for an A-. This made my friend think Ms. Umbridge was treating me unfairly. I decided to try one more time, but this time I'd try to get some actual help from the teacher. Despite the previous awful experience, I went to Miss D. Umbridge's office 3 times during study hall before the next paper was due. She gave me notes each time, all in red pen. I made revisions and followed her notes. And guess what? I got a D+. She smirked and congratulated me on my improvement. At that point, I knew I was being targeted. I was beyond angry. I took my paper to my newspaper teacher, who was known for winning awards. I explained that I was struggling, and he agreed to look it over. He told me it was great, but suggested a few minor changes. He said it was easily an A grade. My friend and I brainstormed. I knew I couldn't switch classes easily, but my friend said the football and basketball players were moved to easier classes to keep their grades up. So I set up a meeting with the athletics director and my swim coach. I explained that I could lose my eligibility to swim if I kept failing this class. They asked to see my papers. They were confused. The student VP was brought in, and he asked who helped me. I showed him all the revised versions of the third paper with Ms. Umbridge's notes. The AP English teacher and my newspaper teacher were asked to grade the papers too. All 3 papers got an A or better. My dad was called in. He demanded I be moved to another class and that Ms. Umbridge be put under review. The school administration clearly bristled at the idea that a teacher might be unfair. There was a lot of arguing, and finally it was decided that I, my dad, the VP, and the athletics director would meet with Miss Umbridge. We all met the next morning. She seemed to think she was going to tell everyone why I was so stupid. The VP explained that I could lose my extracurricular activities, so we had to figure out what to do. She smirked and said I should be moved to the non-honors track, saying I didn't have the aptitude for honors English. My dad was furious. The VP asked why she hadn't tried to help me. She said it was up to students to take the initiative. The VP then produced the 3 revised papers with her red ink. Now, she was the one looking shocked. She called me a liar, and things got heated. I was asked to leave again. Eventually, I was called back in. Miss Umbridge walked out of the VP's office, and if looks could kill, I'd have been gone. I was being moved to basic English, effective immediately. My grade wouldn't carry over. I wouldn't have to make up any assignments, and the new teacher would grade me only on future work. My new English teacher was Miss Honey, the head of the English department. After 2.5 years of honors English, this class was a breeze. I barely had to try, but I was determined to prove Miss Umbridge wrong. I worked harder in that class than ever before. I even ended up tutoring another student who was struggling. I helped her go from a C to a B+. I finished with a grade of over 100%. At the end of the semester, Miss Honey called me into her office and recommended I return to honors English for my senior year. I must have looked terrified, because she assured me Miss Umbridge would not be teaching anymore. In fact, she would be leaving at the end of the year. The administration had trusted Miss Honey to determine the truth of Miss Umbridge's claims. Miss Honey apologized if her class hadn't been challenging enough. I cried, ugly cried. I realized I had believed Miss Umbridge until that moment. I spent my senior year in honors English and tutored struggling students. To this day, I still think about that terrible teacher. My career is writing-based, and I still worry about my writing. I hope she never taught again, because she did a lot of damage to my self-confidence. So there you have it, folks. An incredible story of an unfair teacher, the power of friendship, and a sweet victory against a nasty person. What do you think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing true stories.